What's up, you guys? It's your girl Angela. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Hey, hello, I am Angela and I do a ton of videos on a lot of things, mostly on lawyer life, law school life, and all the things in between. So as some of you guys already know, I'm in my 5th year of practicing law and I'm a corporate transactional lawyer at a large law firm, and all of my experience has been at large law firms. And I was just thinking the other day, this video idea popped in my head after closing a deal, and I was just like sitting back and I'm like, what is this world we live in? And I was just thinking of all the weird kind of customs and terms and things that I've picked up in being in this kind of corporate lawyer law firm environment. And I was just thinking, like, we have like this kind of special language of, you know, just terms and words that I've seen used universally, internally and externally. So within my firms that I've been at and with outside of firms when, you know, communicating with opposing counsels as we're doing transactions together. So I thought, okay, a lot of times people are always asking me, like, what is my day-to-day life? What is lawyer life like? And, you know, there's so many things that I can't share due to attorney-client privilege, confidentiality, you know, I have a job, all these things. So I want to try to bring you guys in onto this lawyer life when I can and give you a glimpse into the world when I can in ways that I can. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a peek at some of the terminology we use in this kind of corporate law firm world, okay? I think most of these terms are pretty universal, regardless of whether you work as a litigator or you're a transactional lawyer, as long as you work in a kind of a corporate law firm setting. But some of them might be geared towards a little bit more transactional, and that's just because I'm a transactional lawyer. So there's my standard caveat. But you guys, I'm telling you, I use these words and phrases on a daily/weekly basis, okay? And some of them you might be familiar with, but it's just so funny to me how we kind of have our own lingo in the corporate law firm world. So let's jump right in. All right, so the first one is circle back/circle up, okay? And all circling back means is basically following up. Or for some reason we say circle back. And this would be used in a context where someone sends you an email or a document or something like that, and you're not going to be able to respond to it right away, but you want to let them know you received it and you want to let them know that you'll follow up with them. For example, I sent opposing counsel a document along with a couple questions, and the counsel responds back to me and say, "Thanks so much, Angela. We'll talk to the client about your questions and circle up with you or circle back with you later today." So that's just kind of the context it's using in, but all it means is, you know, we'll follow up with you because we really don't know the answer or we haven't had a chance to take a look yet. The next one is what's the status? And what's the status will be used so much in your day-to-day life. And all that is asking, like, where are we on this? Where are we at? What's the status on this document you're supposed to be reviewing? What's the status of the comments you have? What's the status of your review? Just where are we at? Give me an update. And this will be used internally and externally. So an example of it being used internally is, you know, a partner asks you to draft something. You don't really have a deadline, but they kind of want it quickly. So, you know, they haven't heard from you, so they follow up and say, hey, what's the status on this? Or, for example, if you're kind of more doing the day-to-day in the deal and they may not be as involved, they might ask you what's the status just for a status update because you're more involved. Externally, this could be used in a context where, you know, opposing counsel sent you some documents last week and they haven't heard from you, they haven't heard comments, they haven't heard questions. So they're just asking you, what's the status of your review and when can we hear back from you on the things that we sent you? All right, another one commonly used is ping. And you will hear this a lot as well. And basically all that means is kind of check in with somebody when you haven't heard back from them. So another attorney, a partner, somebody will ask you to ping so-and-so on whatever matter that you're supposed to be hearing from them on, or you ping your paralegal to see when we might receive some documents that they're supposed to be ordering. So pinging is just kind of checking in. I don't know where that term came from. I definitely did not use it before the law firm life, and I kind of don't use it now, but so many people do. So the next one is incorporate your comments. Incorporating your comments usually is used in a context where someone has sent you some comments or revisions to a draft of a document that you have prepared, and you usually respond and say, hey, I reviewed, these look great, I will incorporate your comments. All that means is revising the documents to include the revisions that they suggested. So again, this one is one that would be used internally and externally. The next one is tied up, and I use this one a lot. And tied up means just I'm busy, I'm not available right now. So somebody will ask you, hey, can you jump on this call really quick at 2? And then you say, oh, nope, I'm tied up during that time, or I'm tied up right now, or somebody's trying to reach you. Hey, I'm tied up, I'll get back to you later, or something like that. So all that means is I'm busy. But instead of saying I'm busy, people just tend to say I'm tied up. So the next kind of phrase or word is the use of team. So you'll find that when you're working with opposing counsel and other law firms, there will be multiple people on the transaction, okay? And it'll be the same on your end. And when you are corresponding with these other law firms, you always want to keep the people on that team in the loop. Even if you're sending an email to one person on the team, you always want to copy those other people, or when you send over documents, you want to send them to everybody. So instead of saying everybody's name on the email chain, you'll just say X law firm team. So for example, if the law firm's name is Blue Law Firm, you'll email them and say, hi, Blue Law Firm team, see attached for X documents. So addressing the opposing counsel as a team is just a way to collectively address everybody. That's used very commonly. The next one is hard stop, okay? And hard stop is just so funny to me. So hard stop is used in a context of when you are kind of scheduling calls and scheduling meetings, you're letting someone know, you're putting someone on notice that you're only available during a specific block of time. So for example, say you have a 3 o'clock meeting, right? And someone asks you to get on a 2 o'clock call for a length of an hour. So you're available for that hour, but at 3 o'clock you have to go to your other meeting. And a lot of times time blocks for meetings will be kind of loosely set. And so calls will go over or go under. And so if you have another meeting, that's just putting that person on notice that no matter what, I have to get off this call at 2 o'clock. So you'd say, hey, I'm available to join the 2 o'clock call, but I have a hard stop at 3. So whether, we're done talking or not, I have to get on to my next meeting. All right, the next one is signed off or sign off or we are signed off, okay? And this phrase is used in the context of when you are trying to finalize documents. So when you are negotiating documents, the documents are always in draft form until both parties agree that the form is final. So one party is usually in kind of control of drafting the documents. So although other parties will provide revisions and comments and things like that, the party who did the initial draft is usually the one in control. So a lot of times when the party who is kind of in control of the document thinks that everything has been agreed on and is final, they will send over to the other side to confirm sign off, okay? And so you would say something like, hi, Blue Law Firm team, attached is what I propose to be the final draft of X documents. Please confirm sign off. And then someone from Blue Law Firm team will respond and say, we are signed off, or confirming sign off. And that just means we both agree that we're done negotiating, these documents are final, and we can get them prepared for execution, which is, signatures and closing or whatever is going to happen in that transaction. Okay, so the next one is Circulate A Dial-in. So Circulate A Dial-in is used in the context of teleconference calls. So like I mentioned before, we're on a lot of meetings, a lot of calls on the daily. A lot of times there are more than 2 parties on these calls. So we have to communicate via a teleconference line to allow multiple parties to be on the phone at the same time. So you usually have a phone number and a passcode to get on that conference line. So Circulate A Dial-in just means I'm going to send everybody the information to sign in on this teleconference call. So for example, I send a message to 5 people who need to be on a teleconference call. And I say, hey, do you guys have availability for 5 at 2? Let me know and I will circulate a dial-in. So I will circulate the information to everyone to sign in on that conference call. All right, the next one is call is running over. So this one is used a lot because like I said, a lot of times these kind of time blocks are loosely set, and so calls will run over all the time. And so maybe if you have somebody waiting on you, or you said you would go to lunch or something like that, a lot of times we'll send an email or a text someone and say, hey, we'll be right there, my call is running over. So that's just kind of a common thing that we say. All right, so the next one is version up, okay? And this is used in the context of drafting documents. So many law firms will have a central document managing system, right? And in the transaction negotiation process, there will be many different versions or drafts of the same documents. So in order to keep track of all the changes made, when they go between sides or a client has comments or something like that, you want to keep track of the different drafts by having different versions. So the first draft of the document will be version 1. Say you send that document over to opposing counsel and then they make changes to that document. Well, when they send it back to you, you save it as version 2. Say you make more changes, then that's saved as version 3, and so on and so forth. So a lot of times, in order to keep track of what changes have been made to the initial document, you will version up, okay? So if somebody says to version up, that means go to the next version before you make changes. And that's just in the internal document managing system. So for all my newbies, there you go. That was the key. Okay, so the next one I have on my list is review and revert, okay? And review and revert is used so often, and this is usually used in the context of when you send somebody drafts of documents and they need to review, and then they will likely provide you comments. Well, of course, when you just send it, you know, they haven't had a chance to do anything, but they do want to acknowledge that the documents have been received. So you'll send to opposing counsel, say, hey, Blue Law Firm team, attached are the drafts of the X documents, and they'll respond and say, thanks, Angela, we received and we will review and revert. And all that means is we're going to review and then we'll provide our revisions or comments if we have any. So that's a commonly used term that you will see literally every day. The next one is discuss live, okay? This one is one that's used commonly as well. And so a lot of times we do a lot of email correspondence, okay? A lot. Most of our correspondence is done via email. However, sometimes it's easier to just pick up the phone and call the other person or get on a conference call to discuss certain issues or questions or whatever. So a lot of times if you send over a wealth of information to somebody and you can suspect that it might be best to get on a call or they might want to get on a call, we'll usually say, here's X documents. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to discuss live if that's better or something like that. So discuss live just means instead of handling this via email correspondence, let's jump on the phone and talk about it. The next one is please advise, and you will hear this one a lot. And please advise is just a call to ask for input or guidance on something that you might not know about. So for example, if you get an email from somebody and they're asking you for some information that you don't know, but you know who does know it, say your client or another colleague or something like that, or you know, there's a question that you need to know about the other side's client, then you send the email and you say, hey, you know, hey, X person, see below, please advise at how you like to respond, or please advise on what the answer should be, or something like that. So the phrase, please advise, is just prompting that person that you need their input or guidance on the matter expressed. All right, so the next one is reserving rights. And reserving rights is used when you are negotiating documents and sending drafts back and forth between opposing counsel. While the documents are in draft form, you always reserve your rights to make further changes, okay? And this, you never want to send over documents and have someone think this is final. You always want to reserve the right to review later, for the client to review later, and make changes further to what you sent. Now, in my opinion, this is common knowledge. This is already expected unless you've agreed that it's final form. But as lawyers, we just always like to reserve our rights because that's what we do. So for example, if opposing counsel sent me some drafts of documents I reviewed with my client, or my client has not yet been able to review everything, or there's some open issues, but we have comments and we want to keep the negotiation process going, even though we have some open points, I'll send over the documents back to opposing counsel, but also say something like, note these drafts are subject to further review and revisions, or something like that. So basically letting them know there could be more changes. That's called reserving rights. All right, the next one is pencils down, okay? And pencils down basically means that a transaction is being put on hold. It's not necessarily just over, but it's put on hold for various reasons, usually business issues or diligence red flag or something. But for some reason, the transaction is being put on hold and you are to no longer work on it or bill on it until you get the green light from the client or the partner that you're working with. So that's just what pencils down means. Stop work right now until you get further notice. Along those same lines, when a deal is off and it's off for good, that deal has died, okay? So the deal is dead. The next phrase is Firedrill, and I'm sure you can imagine what Firedrill means, but basically Firedrill means this is a rush request. We gotta get on it, we gotta get on it ASAP, and we need a quick turnaround, okay? And this happens more often than, people would expect, but sometimes things come up. Everyone's human. Sometimes people wait to the last minute and something is a rush. So a Firedrill just means quick, ASAP, need a fast turnaround. Need you to focus your attention on this now. Right, so the next term is capacity. You will hear this a lot, and this is used in the context of seeing if you have availability basically to take on more matters. As you guys know, we are really busy. You know, lawyers work a lot. We have a lot of matters that we deal with. So a lot of times when people reach out to you for work, they'll ask if you have the capacity to take on more matters or another matter. Or people will tell you, I have capacity for X, so if you want to send me some work, let me know, blah, 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 I can jump on it. So capacity just means your availability or ability to take on more work. All right, so the next word is comments, okay? And I've said this a lot probably through this video, so I just thought it would be important to touch on it so you guys know what I mean by comments. But basically, comments are like proposed revisions, okay? Suggested revisions from the other side or from the partner who is reviewing your work. Basically, changes that they want you to make or incorporate in the document that you are drafting. So the next one is pushback, okay? And I'm sure you can imagine what pushback means, but basically pushback is used in the context of when you're negotiating documents and say you sent over some initial draft, opposing counsel comes back with their drafts, you review with your client, there are things that client is okay with accepting, there are things that client might be okay with accepting with a little bit of tweaking, and then there are things that are absolutely unacceptable to the client. So when there are things that are unacceptable to the client, we do what we call pushing back. So we reject those comments. We reject incorporating those comments because we want to push back on them. So when you hear pushback, that's what that means. All right, the next one is turnaround time. So turnaround time basically means what's the ETA? What's the estimated time of arrival for this document, for this request, for this whatever? So turnaround time is really, really important because we have deals, we have deadlines. And so when we request things, we need to know when we can expect to receive them. I use that a lot when I'm working with paralegals who are like working with third-party people to get me documents that I've ordered, such as the Secretary of State or something like that. I'll say, hey, can you order this, and ask them what the turnaround time is so I can know when to expect it because of the pending deadline that I might have. All right, so the next one is calendar invite. So essentially you're putting time on somebody's calendar. You're blocking time off on somebody's calendar by sending them a calendar invite. So this would be used in a context of where you're trying to schedule something with somebody. So you say, hey, do you have time to talk, on Monday between 1 and 5? Let me know what time works for you and I'll send you a calendar invite. So basically you put it on their calendar so they can accept, and then they can block off that time on their calendar. So it reminds them, but also they don't schedule anything else. All right, so the next one is swamped, okay? And swamped means that you are busy, okay? It means that you have a lot going on. You are really, really busy. You will hear people use this term a lot when they're busy. I don't know where it came from, but that's just what people say. So like, oh, how are things going? Oh, I'm swamped. Or, do you have time to jump on this matter? Oh, I'm swamped. Another term you also hear is underwater, and it just means the same thing. It just means you are very, very, very busy. All right, guys, so this video is getting way too long. There are so many phrases that we could talk about. I can have you here all day, but I did want to give you guys just a little bit of insight onto how we lawyers talk, our lawyer lingo. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I do want to kind of invite you into the space, into seeing the day-to-day and the real life in ways that I can, that kind of don't break any kind of rules or anything like that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please don't forget to give this video a like. Please let me know what you thought about the video in the comments. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. I've been back for a few weeks now and y'all have not been commenting, okay? So I want to see y'all in the comments. I want y'all to at least come in and say hello to your girl, okay? So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have your post notification bell on. Make sure you check the description box for all the frequently asked questions. And I will see you guys in the next video, all right? Peace.